You may have heard the claim that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, married a young child named Aisha radiallahu anha and that Islam somehow supports child marriage. In this video, let's take a closer, honest look at the facts, the historical background, and the teachings of the Quran and Hadith, to uncover the truth behind this widespread misconception. The role of Hadith in Islam. It's commonly believed that every Hadith is as unquestionable as a verse of the Holy Quran, but that's not entirely accurate. During the compilation of Hadiths, some narrations, though attributed to the Prophet, were later found to be fabricated or weak. Scholars of Islam themselves acknowledge this and have spent centuries verifying authentic reports. While hadiths are undoubtedly important in understanding Islam, any hadith that contradicts the Quran or the core spirit of Islam is not accepted by scholars. The controversial hadith and Quranic evidence. The hadith often quoted in this context, from Sahih Bukhari, suggests that Aisha, radiallahu anha, was 6 at the time of her marriage and 9 at the time of consummation. However, this raises important questions when viewed in light of the Quran. For example, in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4 verse number 6, the Quran says, "Test the orphans until they reach the age of marriage. Then, if you perceive in them sound judgment, release their property to them." Scholars such as Ibn Kathir explain that, the age of marriage, bulughun nikah, refers to both physical and mental maturity, a state in which a person is capable of making responsible decisions, including consent in marriage. Modern scholars also refer to this verse when discussing the legal age of marriage, emphasizing that mental and emotional maturity are essential, conditions that a child simply cannot fulfill. Importance of mutual consent. Another verse that reinforces this idea is found in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4 verse 24, "There is no blame upon you for what you mutually agree upon after the obligation." This verse highlights that mutual consent between husband and wife is a foundational principle of marriage in Islam. Consent cannot be given by someone who is not mentally and emotionally mature, such as a child. Hence, child marriage contradicts this essential Islamic value. Other hadiths that emphasize maturity. There are also authentic hadiths that support this Quranic principle. 1. Sunan ibn Majah 1874. A girl came to the Prophet and said, "My father married me to his brother's son so that he might raise his status thereby." The Prophet gave her the choice, and she said, "I approve of what my father did, but I wanted women to know that their fathers have no right to do that." 2. Sahih Muslim 1419. A woman without a husband, or divorced or a widow, must not be married until she is consulted, and a virgin must not be married until her permission is sought. Sahih al-Bukhari, 6969. A woman named Kansa bint Kidam was given in marriage by her father against her will. The Prophet annulled the marriage, saying, "You may now marry whomever you wish." These narrations clearly show that Islam does not endorse child marriage without maturity and informed consent. Let's also consider historical facts. Aisha, radiallahu anha, was the younger sister of Asma bint Abu Bakr. It's well documented that Asma was 10 years older than Aisha and was around 27 years old at the time of migration to Medina. That would make Aisha approximately 17 at the time she moved into the Prophet's household. Prominent scholars and historians, including Dr. Jonathan Brown, Georgetown University, and historian-archaeologist Judith Herron, have also supported the view that Aisha was in her late teens at the time of her marriage's consummation. Cultural and global context. It's important to view history through the lens of its own time. In 7th century Arabia, the life expectancy was between 35 and 40 years. Early maturity and younger marriages were common, not just in Arabia, but across many ancient cultures. Even in 12th century Europe, Catholic canon law permitted girls to marry at 12. King John of England married 12-year-old Isabella. Mary Queen of Scots married at 15. These were societal norms of the time. So why does this misconception persist? At times, such narratives were historically used by colonial powers to justify interfering in Muslim societies. Today, some Islamophobes continue to cherry-pick a few hadiths while ignoring the commands of the Quran, the context of authentic hadiths, Islam's groundbreaking protection of women and children, and the full historical backdrop. In reality, Islam elevated the status of women and introduced one of the first ever legal standards of adulthood and consent in history. So, to sum up, Islam does not support child marriage. Instead, it emphasizes maturity, mutual consent, and compassion in all relationships, especially marriage.